So in the higher time frame for Bitcoin, the counts for this one would be just this uptrend would be wave 1, 2, 3, and the drop is just part of wave 4. The invalidation of the wave 4 retracement would be the price of this wave 1, and that price is at 114,859. So in other words, if as long as the price of Bitcoin stays above this bullish first line of defense at 114,859.80, Bitcoin is still bullish. Another point that I would like to mark would be this one. Ideally, if this is already a reversal or a bullish scenario reversal, then price should stay above this price as a higher degree impulsive invalidation. But as of now, based on the wave counts of the lower time frame, my first line of defense would be around this first, and then after that, let me change it into lower time frame or 1 hour time frame. So from 1 hour time frame, we saw a drop last August 7. On August 7, there was the first 5 waves. This one, from here to here, is in the lower time frame, especially in the 1 minute time frame. The counts or the wave counts of this one will be 5 impulsive waves, or rather 5 motive waves, or motive 5 waves. So let me show you that motive 5 waves here. Let's just use the 5 minutes. It's clear that there's a 5 waves here. We have here 1, 2, and this will be the 3, 4, and then the 5. So that means it is just right that this will be labeled as wave A, and then this one, the wave B, is usually composed of 3 waves, and this drop from here to here that happened yesterday, I think, yeah, yesterday, is also 5 waves. One, this would be one, sorry, this would be the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. So therefore, it is just right that I will label this as an ABC because the internal waves are completed or are satisfied. Because for it to be considered as an ABC, the internal waves of A must be 5 waves. The internal waves of B to C must also be 5 waves. So therefore, this labeling this as a zigzag is just correct. Now, from here, from the reversal here of after the 5 waves, internal 5 waves of wave C, the next part would be at least a 3 waves bounce up. This is what I have explained yesterday, that if ever the price will bounce from here, the minimum number of waves would be at least 3 waves up before it will continue to go down if ever the market is still bearish. Now, here, originally, I labeled this as a leading diagonal for a possible bullish scenario. When we say leading diagonal, let me explain it in with illustration. So when we say leading diagonal, I am referring to the internal waves of this wave 1. So the internal waves, when we say leading diagonal, will look like this one. A diagonal a diagonal motive wave is where will happen when wave 4 retraces beyond the territory of wave 1. So if this is your wave 4 and it retraces beyond the territory of this wave 1 here, then therefore, excuse me, if the wave 4 retraces beyond the territory of wave 1 or the wave 4 overlaps the territory of wave 1, we call it as possible leading diagonal. So that's the originally I treated this as a leading diagonal. However, based on the price action after, if I will treat this in Elliot wave theory, we we do logical scenarios. When I say we do logical scenarios, if I will treat this as leading diagonal, then my correction would be a possible ABC, an ABC correction for this one, for this price action will be an ABC, or it could be a WXY correction. For the information of those who are not familiar with Elliott wave theory, what's the difference between um, a zigzag and a zigzag correction and a double combination? So the difference between these two, in the higher time frame, perhaps you will see this as just the same. They have two, rather three waves all in all. But the difference between these two lies beyond its internal waves. Just like what I've mentioned a while ago, if I'm going to treat this as an ABC, then the internal waves must be of a zigzag correction would be 5 waves down for A, and then another 5 waves down for for C. However, this one is zigzag. This one is zigzag, and the other one is called double combination, or I'll just label this as WXY for you to easily remember. This, let's just call it ABC. However, the difference between a zigzag correction and a WXY correction is that the WXY correction, the internal waves is not 5 waves for A and 5 waves for C. The internal waves for W will be 3 waves only. Will be 3 waves only, and the internal waves of the Y will be 3 waves only. Sorry. So that's the difference between an ABC correction or a zigzag correction and a WXY correction. So regardless whether the correction will be called ABC correction or WXY correction, depending on the first downtrend that will happen. And in this case, this is the first downtrend that happened. Actually, if I am bullish, I if I am bullish with the market, then I'm expecting. I should expect, if my personal bias would be bullish, then my I should expect that this will just be an ABC. However, it's clear, just like what I have counted here, that the first downtrend is composed of 5 waves. So if it is composed of 5 waves, then therefore I cannot treat this as a WXY correction, since just like what I have said, zigzag, the internal waves of zigzag is 5 waves down for A. Excuse me for a while. My apologies if I have to stop from time to time. That's one of the reasons that I seldom use the microphone because I have throat problems. So every time I'm using the microphone, I'd like to maximize my maximize in the things that I would like to share. So my apologies for that. Going back, okay, just like what I've mentioned, since the first downtrend here is composed of 5 waves, and therefore I cannot consider it as a WXY. So the most logical correction would be a zigzag scenario from here to here. Okay. So if this is for the first 5 waves is rather the first downtrend is 5 waves, after a bounce of wave B, I should be expecting 5 waves down. And that's the reason why my projection here is I'm expecting that the price will still continue to go down. If we will check the lower time frame for this one, I have already identified the waves. This would be the wave 1, wave 2. Wave 2 to 3 must be composed of 5 internal waves. And the internal waves here would be, this will be the wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So therefore, the internal waves of wave 3 are satisfied. So therefore, we will see a bounce up for wave 4. Wave 4 retracement for wave 4 are usually 0.5, 0.382, 0.236. These are the retracement levels, and the measurement will start by from wave 2 to the peak of wave 3. These are just the ideal zones for bounce for wave 4, but in reality, the bounce for wave 4 can go as high as the price before the territory of the wave 1. Just like what I have mentioned, um, wave 4 can retrace beyond the territory of wave 1 but not beyond the territory of wave 2. When wave 4 retraces beyond the territory of wave 1, we call it as diagonal. However, this one is clearly impulsive, meaning if this is impulsive, do not expect that the price will there is a possibility that the price will retest this, but based on this price action which is impulsive, then the retracement should be a shallow for wave 4. And then after that, once we break this low of the wave 3, we are expecting 5 waves down to complete the WXY correction. So as of now, the excuse me for a while. As of now, the higher degree correction structure that I can see is a WXY. I've already explained the difference between a zigzag and a WXY. Sometimes this WXY is called double zigzag because it is composed of two sets of zigzags. And here, this is the first zigzag, ABC. This is the second set of ABC. Since there are two sets of ABCs, then as of the current price action, then the correction for wave 4 would be the most logical correction for wave 4 would be a WXY. So that means I'm expecting at least 50% retracement from the start of wave 2 to the start of wave to the peak of wave 3. just like what I mentioned a while ago, wave 4 retracement can go, these are just ideal values. In other words, even if the price will break this negative 5, sorry, negative 5, I mean 50% retracement here, it's still acceptable. Why? Because if, according to the rules of Elliot wave theory, wave fork, an impulsive wave, an impulsive motive wave, wave 4 in an impulsive motive wave can retrace as low as or as close as can wave 4 can retrace above the wave 1 territory. Since this is the wave 1 territory, this will be our first line of defense. Actually, the first line of defense, the last line of defense are actually the invalidations of Elliot wave theory. The only reason why I'm putting it in this way, or I'm using the words first line of defense and last line of defense, for those, especially for those who are new to trading, to at least once we say defense, that means once the defenses are broken, then do not expect that the the directional bias that you are seeing will still hold strong. So therefore, as of now, the the possible retracement level for this one would be at 119,500. But just like what I mentioned, above this above this price 117 is acceptable for wave 4, and even above 114 will be acceptable for wave 4. But once the price breaks this 112,781.04, then the higher degree corrective structure may happen. So when I say the higher degree correction may happen, these Bitcoin's Elliott wave counts can be considered an expanded flat. In Elliott wave theory, when we say expanded flat, first, the structure of an expanded flat looks like this one. So an expanded flat looks like this one. Oops. So when we say expanded flat, the the origin of wave A will be broken by wave B. The usual, the ideal for a zigzag retracement will look like this. However, in an expanded scenario, after 5 waves, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5 waves, the ideal corrective structure will be like this. This is the basic, the fundamental motive wave and corrective wave. However, there are cases wherein wave B retraces beyond the territory of wave 5, and we call that as expanded flat. So if this is expanded flat, how will I count, count this? For an expanded flat scenario, the counting would be 335. Sorry, 335. Meaning 3 waves, 3 waves, 3 waves, and then 5 waves. Therefore, after the fifth wave, wave A here must be composed of 3 waves wave A here must be composed of 3 waves A, B, C, and wave A to B. Since 335 is the pattern, then this will be composed of three 3 waves as well. And then since the structure is 335, then the last wave would be 5 waves down. So 5 waves down. So this is an example of an expanded flat correction. Going back to what I have mentioned a while ago in the higher time frame. So sweep here, this sweep here can be considered as the possible expanded flat scenario. The sweep of the fifth wave is a possible expanded flat scenario. So let me just show it to you so that you will visually see it. So if I'm going to treat this as my first wave, second, this would be my third, my fourth, and this will be my fifth. So if this will be treated this way, then where's the 3-3 pattern that I have mentioned a while ago? Going back here, 3-3, 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and then 5 waves down. So if that is the case, then therefore I will treat this first down trend as ABC, and then I will treat this another as an ABC, and then the next would be 5 waves down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 waves down will only happen once the defenses or the first line, second line, first line and last line of defense will be broken. And what are those? The first line of defense would be at this price or the invalidation that I have mentioned a while ago, around 114. And then once we break the last line of defense, which is this particular price, then expect an expanded correction. So once we swap this, perhaps other will think that the market is about to retrace for this wave 2. However, in Elliot wave theory, this wave 2 here is just a bull trap. To simply explain it, it's just a bull trap wherein once we break this the territory of wave B, bull trap, because the next would be 5 waves down since the structure is very clear. So here's the actual chart of Bitcoin, and here's the possible corrective structure. So if this is expanded flat, then it should break first the territory of wave B and be confirmed by the territory of the wave C here. However, if the price bounce above or above this level, then we are still bullish, and then it will respect this level, then we are still bullish. So my next logical scenario for Aster, since we have seen signs of possible continued correction, then the next logical scenario for Aster would be like this one. I recounted this originally. If you are following the charts that I have been sharing for directional bias, I originally treated this as a possible triangle. However, the triangle, if I will treat this as a triangle, then the triangle should respect the trend line support and resistance. For a triangle, then the trend line resistance would be this one, and the trend line support would be around here. However, it's clear that the trend line support was impulsively invalidated. Therefore, I cannot I cannot interpret this anymore as uh, a triangle. Instead, I have treated this as an ABC, higher degree ABC, wherein the A here is a leading diagonal, and then the wave B is three waves up, or it can be labeled as WXY or an ABC. And then here, this is obvious, an impulsive movement, therefore it should be just part of the wave 3. So this is just part of the wave 3. And then after that, we see at least three wave bounce up for wave 4, and then we'll go down again to complete the internal waves of the W, or the wave Y. So why is my bias changed from a bullish triangle to a WXY higher degree correction is simply because I always base my analysis on altcoins or any coins based on the mother coin, and the mother coin is always the Bitcoin. So whatever is your directional bias for Bitcoin would be the directional bias of the altcoins. That's why I was confident a while ago to do a live trade, simply because I've seen signs of a possible reversal for Bitcoin. However, of course, once the my bullish first line of defense and the last line of defense were all violated, I am not that I'm not that, I'm sorry for the word, stupid to continue with my bullish bias even if the red flags are already there. So that ends the explanation of the corrective structure of Bitcoin, or the Elliot wave structure of Bitcoin and Aster. And since I don't I don't want to I don't want to see any more revenge trades. I prefer not to do live trades anymore and just sleep, and then let's wait what will happen for the next days or the next hours. So thank you everyone for trading with me during the my live trade analysis scalping, and then thank you for listening as well. I hope you have a clearer, at least I gave you a clearer directional bias on what will happen to the Bitcoin and the altcoins. That would be all. Thank you everyone, and let me now stop the streaming.